Welcome to lesson 10 of Financial Sobriety School. Can't believe we're already on lesson 10. In this lesson, I am going to talk about one of our foundations, which is called your financial inventory. So, a lot of times you hear me talk a lot about behavior stuff when it comes to money, but with this one, I'm going to really focus in on getting really clear about your numbers. And this can be one of the scariest steps when it comes to looking at your money and starting to build your financial sobriety. But what I will say to that is the feedback that I often get is that people find that once they actually look at the numbers and do that, the anxiety starts to go down. The fear is probably still going to be there because it's not just going to go away, but you start to understand the information because a lot of times there's so much unknown about how much debt do I have? What are my expenses? Do I have any in investments? I know I have an investment account, a 401k. I know I have this, but I have no idea what's happening with it. So, which is very common. And that is nothing to feel ashamed of because that is the society that we live in, is that we are, told that we're supposed to understand this stuff, but we're never taught about it. So that's why we are here at Financial Sobriety School. So within the financial inventory, there's four main things that we're going to look at. So we're going to look at your bank accounts, and within those bank accounts, start to put together your expenses, what kind of expenses you have, and then and also your income. So bank account also comes into play with that, because you're going to have a look in your bank account. You'll probably log in if you are working somewhere, logging into there, just starting to see the specifics of your income. And then we have so investments or savings, what do you have with that? And then also your debt. So I'm just going to go through what specifics to look for, because what I mean by inventory is really starting to collect all the data of what your money looks like. What do your finances look like? And not in a way of like, hey, like, let's make a judgment about your money. It's let's have that information. And there's so many emotions that get attached to money. And one of the things that I will often say to people, because like I said, that fear doesn't go away right away. That anxiety doesn't go away right away. So, what can we tell ourselves when we're starting to pull up this information or even attempt to start to pull up this information? Maybe there's something that you need to do to regulate your nervous system, whether that be maybe some meditation, some yoga, some tapping, and my all time favorite, just kind of shaking your body around how it feels like it wants to go. My neck just clicked when I did that. And, standing up, putting on a really good song and having a good dance, maybe going out for a walk, have maybe just humming is something that's really simple that can help support your vagus nerve, which is what puts your body into the rest and digest state. So coming to into this, getting your financial inventory into this process of coming in with a regulated nervous system as much as possible, and then really kind of coming to it from a place of you're gathering information. You are on a fact finding mission. This isn't, starting to, that shame is going to maybe pop up for a little bit of a visit. And it's like, okay, how am I going to deal with that if that comes up? What can I say to myself? I am safe. I'm just gathering information. I am safe. I am safe. I am just gathering information, right? And just really giving yourself something that that helps to like kind of start to calm a little bit. And you'll start to use that within your financial sobriety, because a lot of the times it's us really trying to change the way we're our narrative is running through our minds, and it would be lovely to quote unquote change the way we think, but our body or our brain is just doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's thinking, it's doing its job. But one thing that I do know for sure is the neuroscience of a lot of things that happen with money is that a lot of that stuff negatively manually imprints within us. And we have to start to we have to manually bring in the positive, where that negative stuff, it's imprinted in us, it's there, and manually bringing in the positive stuff with money. So, what is something that you can say to yourself when you start to feel that record starting to play, right? That hamster wheel starting to go? A big piece of money is just that, of starting to, okay, I'm noticing that this is happening. This is what works for me when that happens. Oh, I feel an impulse coming up. What's really going on? What, like, do I need to eat? Am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling like, what am I feeling? The feelings wheel is something that's really big to look into that. But we're talking about numbers, and I always try to start to go into the heart of the matter of the money. But also, when we're going to start to look at the numbers, we need to take care of ourselves. Set up a cozy space, regulate your nervous system. Think of something that you can say to yourself if you find that you are starting to dissociate, or getting really really overwhelmed, judging yourself, shame is coming up, and making sure that maybe you do this process in like 4 different stages, or really having it where maybe you're not doing it all at once, because getting your financial inventory is big. And the reason why I have it as one of the foundations of financial sobriety school is, yes, we have to look at our money. And I often get asked, like, Linda, if I work with you, do I have to make a budget or a spending plan? Yes, you do. But we'll work through getting there if that feels hard for you. But this is where financial inventory comes into place, because let's get the numbers, let's gather that information. So one of the first things, again, log into your online banking. If you want to just have statements, or a lot of times you can go back just a couple months and just have a look of what's coming in and out of your account. So that's where we'll look for expenses. So that's something that you'll want to have for being able to get all the information for your financial inventory. I have my little coworker Bandit in here. It's a little bit of a reactive puppy. So a dog or something drove down a street that's not even close to here, and I think he heard it, and that's why he barked. So every once in a while you might hear him. But so getting into your online banking is one of those things that you're going to want for this process. And gathering statements, if you do have some sort of investment account or something through work in regards to investing, what do you have, right? Gathering that information and having a piece of paper or that online banking in front of you where you can get that. Grabbing the information for your debt. Do you have your mortgage somewhere that your bank account isn't? So you have to be able to find a statement for that, because we want to get specific with like getting interest rates, payments, all of the specifics of our money. Remember, we're just gathering information. So the first part that we'll have a look at and put into your financial inventory is going to be your bank accounts. So strictly here, and you can just put this on pen and paper. You can put it in an Excel spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet that I'm working with within my classes right now. I'm giving it a test run to make sure it works smoothly before I release it as something that you can download. But for now, have this information, just start a new notes, just have a blank document somewhere where you can start to put this information. So your bank accounts, how many checking accounts do you have? Do you have them at a bunch of different places? And just simply writing down, checking account, where that account is held, and what the balance is in that account. And then as well for savings accounts, like sometimes I know for myself with a savings account, a lot of times it's not even one that I'm using just as a strictly savings and it just keeps going. Sometimes they're transactional accounts that I take money from every once in a while. I think of them as like holding accounts. So that would be for something like animals, like I have an animal savings account, or I have a vehicle savings account so that when I need to access funds for those are just kind of part of my transactions, my strategy for my bank accounts. So I use that as also my bank accounts. I, list that as a savings account, what the balance is, and what the purpose of that savings account is. Or if you also want to include that as well for your checking account. So also going into your expenses. So, you have your bank account information. Is there anything that's automatically coming out of those bank accounts? So, I like to break up expenses into two different categories. So, one of them being fixed expenses. So, those are expenses that are the same amount usually every month. You're paying them every month and it's just automatically coming out of your account. That could be mortgage and rent, your utilities, insurances, anything, payments, car payments. What are some fixed expenses that are coming out of your account automatically every month? And including those cell phone bills, internet, different things like that come up for fixed expenses. I'm also going to put in the show notes as well a link to categories that I have for expenses, just in case for missing something that you don't actually maybe see on your bank account. And a lot of times, too, people have these transactions going through your credit cards. So keep an eye on that as well. When you get into the credit card part, pulling those statements, okay, what do I have coming off of my credit card? And maybe questioning, is that what's best for me? Am I paying that off every month, that transaction that's going through? Because that's where it can be a bit of a slippery slope, especially those of us who have a hard time with our spending. So, fixed expenses, and then the other part I like to call variable expenses. So, that would be things like groceries, eating out, coffee, just spending money. I think it's really important for you to have a category that is, say, for example, clothes or self care, yoga, different things that come out, but it's not the same amount every month and it can fluctuate, and pretty much you're going to take your income and minus your fixed expenses from that, and what you have left over from that you can start to divvy up to your variable expenses. So that is, yeah, spending money, gas, eating out, groceries, because those things change. And people might think, oh, but groceries are a fixed expense. I do that every month. Yes, you do, but every month looks a little bit different for it's spending for groceries. Like, say, for example, if it's a special holiday, every month we have something happening, usually, right? Like, is it Christmas? Is it Thanksgiving, a birthday, things like that? And also, are you going to be away at some point and you have to maybe allocate more money to eating out? Are you on vacation? Every month you want to have a look and see what your expenses are like for that. So for as well, yeah, you're going to have your bank accounts, and then also looking at your credit cards to see if you have anything automatically going through then, and having that inventory there. These are my expenses, and and then also again going into that income piece, which is another piece of your financial inventory, is how much money do I make? And whether that be looking at a direct deposit into your account, whether that is, business for self. I myself use Stripe. So sometimes transactions go through there, sometimes they go through PayPal. What is it that I'm bringing in? When it comes to business for self, One thing that because we sometimes, and I know for speaking for myself, I don't bring in the same amount every month. It always changes in regards to my clients and, what I have going on that month. So I like to plan ahead of time, and, it comes down to like a business plan. But overall, what is my target for this month that I know is coming in, and what I hope, and really basing it off of, okay, I know this is coming in, and basing it off that as much as possible. Or having like an average, going through and sort of seeing on average how much is going into your account every month. But people also have things like pensions going in, or maybe child support, maybe some alimony, or different sources of income. Maybe you have a side hustle and you get some money from there as well. Getting together that income of what do I have coming in. And that's where you'll get that information was within your bank account, or if you're within business for self, or as well, you can log in probably if you are working into your payroll system and really having a look. Okay, how much am I paying for taxes? Am I paying for, like, what am I paying into my pension? What am I being deducted off of my paycheck? Do I have union dues? Just again, really connecting to that piece of what do I have? And so with your investments, so speaking of like pensions and stuff, so investments come down to anything that you have investment wise, like a GIC here in Canada. In the States, they call them CDs, so certified deposits. There also is tax-free savings accounts here in Canada. Next lesson, I'm going to be teaching financial literacy. So I'll break those down a little bit in the next lesson. But just for information's sake right now, just having a look at those, any statements you have being delivered to the house that maybe haven't even been opened. You might have, within your employer, they may have some sort of pension stuff that you can log into and have a look. Am I putting money into just a cash account? Am I contributing to any mutual funds, any stocks, anything like that? What is that going into? And if you don't understand it, it's a really good opportunity for you to call the person who is handling your account and having a conversation like, what does this even mean? Is this what's right for me? And also within the investments, have a look, what the interest rates are on the bank, on the savings accounts you have, on the GICs or CDs, gathering that information of your investments. And if you don't have any, that's okay. This is where we're starting, right? We're starting at, okay, I'm gathering my inventory for information. This is what I have. So, and a lot of times people aren't really looking at accounts that they are just automatically putting into, that some broker or a financial advisor is taking care of, and checking in with that institution or with that person and really understanding what you're investing into is huge. Just gives you that extra confidence of like, hey, this is what I am doing. And if you're not doing that, maybe this might have something within you that makes you think like, okay, hey, I'm going to start putting money into a savings account, and I'm going to be saving up for a trip. I'm going to be saving up for something else. But getting really clear, because now we're going to have the numbers in front of us. So also, we did bank accounts, having a look at your income, your investments, what do you have? And then the last one being debt. Having a look at that inventory is anything from a line of credit, credit card, your overdraft protection, if that's something that you have as an outstanding debt. If you have a car loan, just a regular loan, you could have done like a consolidation loan or something like that. Did you take a loan from family members that you owe, or friends, or someone that you owe some money back to? Include that in here. And, there could be mortgages, home equity lines of credit. Those are the things you want to put on your inventory list of, these are what I have. This is the amount owing. And then also include what your payment is. If it's a credit card or something, put your minimum payment and make sure you move that as well. Those payments, make sure those are showing up on your fixed expenses as well, because those are things you're paying. And maybe even right now, just for information purposes, you are going to want to put that, like, say, for example, with the credit cards, just putting the minimum payment in into your expenses piece, just until you know, or if you have a certain amount that you know that you pay every month. But again, including the payments for your debt, and also going back to that investment piece is going and putting, if you have automatic payments going into those investments or savings accounts, making sure you count those in your expenses as well, because that's money that's being taken from your income and put onto your debt or within your investments, savings, into a bank account. Make sure you count those automatic transfers. So, this is going to start to build your financial picture, your financial sobriety numbers. And from there, that's information right now. And so, one of the lessons, the last foundation that I'm going to talk about is going to be in a couple lessons from now, which is your financial sobriety strategy. So, again, this is your information gathering piece, right? This is going to be like, what do I have? Next lesson, next week, I'm going to be talking about financial literacy, but this is getting the numbers, gathering the information, and when that's all happening, pay attention. How's your body feeling? What narrative is running through? What are you saying to yourself? What are things that are coming up for you? Maybe journal, like doing a little bit of numbers and then doing a little bit of journaling and starting to connect. That's financial sobriety, connecting with our money, gathering the information. You heard it here. This is what you need to do to get your financial inventory all ready to go. Thank you so much for listening to lesson 10 of Financial Sobriety School. And I'm always here. If you ever have any questions, email is linda@lindaparmar.com. And my website is lindaparmar.com. And if you love what you've heard today or that you've watched, please, I would love it if you subscribed, left a review. If you loved it, I would really, really love to hear, because we need to get this information out to those who need it. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.